Hey guys, so there's a pretty sad story right now of a 10-month-old baby in the UK who has a very rare genetic disorder and who's on the verge of death. Um, the worst thing about this, though, is the European courts ruled that the parents were not allowed to take this kid to America to try some experimental drugs, and they also ruled that the hospitals can now, pull life support whenever they deem it necessary, right? Well, like this isn't very good because it sets kind of a bad precedent. Whenever courts rule on something, it sets a precedent for future rulings. So we may start seeing a lot more of these pick and choose. Like, this is what happens in socialized medicine, right? You have a small sum of money that you can't spend on everybody. This is why they try to work on preventative care a lot, right? And which is good. You should work on preventative care, but it's because they don't have a ton of money to spend. So even I think one of the reasons too is they didn't let him go because let's just say that this kid survived. He may need medical attention for the rest of his life afterwards. And do you think the UK government really wants to, you know, get another baby, get another person that's going to be dependent on them through their healthcare system? No, they don't want that. So, there's that whole thing in the States about death panels and blah blah blah. Like they're kind of right. Like I'm from Canada, and trust me, like we pick and choose. Some people get really screwed over and kind of like just are left to die. You know, and not only that, if you have like the waiting times, like some people die in the fucking waiting rooms, man. Like it's ridiculous. Now, like that's just the tip of the iceberg. I've had a sibling who died in a hospital because of a staph infection, right? He also had a genetic disorder, right? Disease, cystic fibrosis. But while he was in there, he caught that bug, and that helped, kill him that much faster. So, and those are very preventable, right? Those are like 95% preventable. So, that just falls on the doctors and the nurses who weren't doing their job, right? And this is what happens when you have the government controlling just one healthcare system and there's no competition. People always say, "Oh, you can't have healthcare competition." It's like, yes, you can. It would be cheaper, right? We're paying for doctors who are doing shitty jobs. And, there's plenty who are doing amazing jobs, but we're paying for plenty who are doing horrible work. And, we don't know because there's no competition. We can't say, like, hey, this hospital is better than this hospital. Or, like we can kind of see that still, but it's much easier with a market-based system where the money shows you what is best. Because if you're going to a hospital where people are, writing off your kids to die and are, not washing their hands and giving you infections, nobody's going to go to that hospital anymore, right? And they're going to have to cut their prices down a lot so people actually go, right? And then everybody will be spending their money on good hospitals, good doctors. They're actually helping people. And they'll actually make good money, but the healthcare overall would be cheaper, right? It would be cheaper for everybody. So, don't be swayed by these socialist systems like the Canadian system we have here, and the European system. It's not as good as you think, right? America, you don't have a free market healthcare system either. That's another thing. Most of you get it from your work, like 70% of it. So that's not a free market system, right? You're not picking and choosing. You pick your job, and then they give you the insurance. So there's a very small healthcare system, or small part of it that is privatized. But even with that small part of it privatized, they have the most like innovation that comes out of it. And that's why that kid from the UK was going to spend more than, or that his parents were going to raise more than $1 million to spend on that treatment that was only in America. Nobody's mentioning that. They talk about socialized healthcare and this and that, but they don't mention all the people that go to America for treatments. You know how many people in Canada go to America for treatments all the time? Plenty. I know tons of people who do. You know why? Because our healthcare is fucking shit. And when you pay for shit, you get better fucking quality stuff. And it's like, yes, we're all talking about these safety nets and stuff like this. Yes, we could have a moderate safety net, but we should at least transition to more of a private system, and then that would actually bring down costs for everybody. So, instead of penny pinching and writing off kids like this Charlie Gard, who now they're gonna let die because they pretty much probably don't want to take care of them in the future. Like, they say it's because, oh, they want to put him through any more pain, but like, come on, man. Like, I'm sure that's probably going on in some of their minds, but I don't know. I think it has more to do with money and legal issues, and it has very little to do with their compassion. But this is all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a great day. See ya.